सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल डिफेसिस को और दबाइए बेल बटन को ताकि आपको मिल सके हमारी वीडियोस की अपडेट सबसे पहले।
India finally received the first lot of 5 Rafale fighter jets out of 36 purchased from Dassault Aviation, France in a multi-billion-dollar agreement. The induction of Rafale into the Indian Air Force was very much needed and was long overdue. The timing of the arrival and induction of Rafale is very important because India has to get prepared for addressing the challenges emanating from Sino-Indian standoff as well as Pakistan opening a second front for India. The reflection of defense preparedness will be pivotal to the maintenance of India's national security. The induction of Rafale perhaps will change the technological imbalance India has been experiencing all these years, especially in comparison to the combat aircraft India's neighborhood has acquired. Pakistan acquired F-16 from the US and Chang'e F-17 from China, which are fourth-generation combat aircraft. Both these combat aircraft are central to Pakistan Air Force's modernization plans. The modernization of Indian Air Force has been continuing and this has enhanced its operational capabilities over the years. The Indian Air Force is very much capable of meeting the security challenges in the current context. A number of existing combat aircraft in Indian Air Force Squadron are being upgraded. More particularly, the Jaguar series, Mirage 2000 and MiG series have been upgraded as modern weapon platforms. The Indian Air Force has been inducting light combat aircraft Tejas and MMRCA as well. The Tejas squadron, however, is yet to be fully operational. Rafale certainly will be a game changer during any eventuality India has to face. It has a proven track record on its effectiveness during combat. It has been used effectively in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria. The effectiveness of both J-20 and JF-17 are yet to be witnessed. These have not been tested in any conflict or warlike situations. India's defense preparedness with the addition of Rafale will provide confidence and an ability to become assertive. The geopolitical environment in South Asia will warrant India to keep itself alert and send messages to its adversaries about its preparedness for any eventuality. China is practically refusing to discuss the standoff in Pangong Tso, with the deadlock in this friction point now deteriorating because of China simply dismissing it as a talking point. India Today TV has learned that the Chinese reluctance that emerged in the fourth round of talks on June the 14th to the 15th has escalated now into an all-out refusal to even acknowledge the Pangong Tso situation as a friction point. China's new stance on the Pangong Tso Finger Complex standoff assumes significance considering the Chinese army has implemented discussed disengagement protocols in full at the Galwan Valley's Patrol Point 14 and Patrol Point 15 in the Hot Springs sector just south. Disengagement at Patrol Point 17A at the rest of Gogra Post has slowed, but it is China's Pangong deployment that has been of chief concern to India so far. China's stubbornness at the talks table in even acknowledging Pangong as a friction point between the two countries is the most explicit affirmation of China's clear intent to change the lines of the pre-May status quo. The new intransigence ties in with two developments the past week. 1. The Chinese ambassadors claim that disengagement was complete and that China was at its line in the Pangong Finger Complex, a provocative signal that there would be no further pullback. As reported, China's huge deployment in the disputed stretch between Finger 4-8 had been overrun by Chinese positions starting early May, with very nominal changes now visible. Apart from the Pangong deadlock, the other major topic of discussion at Sunday's disengagement talks is the Dipsang issue. In Dipsang, China has mobilized in larger numbers than before and is continuing to mount temporary transgressions into the Indian territory with vehicles. This has happened for years, with Indian troops usually fending them off, but the transgressions have not only increased in number this year but also strength and duration. Shanghai Cooperation Organization foreign ministers meet in Moscow. Proposed Russia on September 10 will see the participation of Pakistan and China. ANI quoting diplomatic sources said, on the same day, Russia has also offered to host BRICS foreign ministers meet. Quoting informed sources, ANI said that meet was scheduled during pre-COVID times and India can only confirm its participation after evaluating the current situation. As of now, there is no official confirmation that India will take part in the scheduled meetings in Moscow. If India decides to take part, this will be the first time that foreign ministers of India, Pakistan and China will come face to face in the same group ever since the conflict at line of actual control between India and China. Tensions continue to build up along the line of actual control as there is still no complete disengagement at the border. India and China are holding rounds of military and diplomatic talks to resolve the situation. The Special Protection Group has ordered mega repatriation of over 200 personnel to their respective security forces in view of its charter being recently amended to protect only the Prime Minister, said official sources. This is the biggest repatriation of SPG since the amendment in the Special Protection Group Bill. Over 200 security personnel that will be repatriated will most likely be at least 86 officers and personnel from the Central Reserve Police Force, 45 from the Border Security Force, 23 from the Central Industrial Security Force, 24 from the Sashastra Seema Bal, 17 from the Indo-Tibetan Border Police and some others from the Railway Protection Force, Rajasthan Police and the Intelligence Bureau, as per a report by the PTI news agency. The SPG Amendment, Bill 2019 was passed by the Rajya Sabha on December 3 and 2019. Earlier in November 2019, the Ministry of Home Affairs had decided to withdraw the SPG cover given to the Gandhi family, including Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, and give them Z+ security provided by the Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF. The decision was taken at a high-level meeting of the MHA after threat assessment to the Gandhi family was done from different agencies. According to the Intelligence Bureau, there is no direct threat to the Gandhi family. The SPG was raised in 1985 with the intention to provide proximate security cover to the Prime Minister, former Prime Ministers and their immediate family members. From the first flight in 2001 till the formation of the first squadron in 2016, L.C.A. Tejas Mark I program has been for long ridiculed for its slow pace of development, and 15 years from first flight to the first squadron has often been due to long developmental and testing cycle, which many aviation experts felt was prolonged due to higher safety issues and lack of experience in moving from prototype stage to production stage of the program, but that's about to change for successor Tejas Mark II program. Like L.C.A. Tejas Mark I program, Tejas Mark II program will skip technology demonstrator and prototype vehicles stages to start with, and the first aircraft assembled will be limited series production aircraft in initial operational clearance standard configuration, slated to have its first flight by 2022. The adoption of computer simulations in a big way not only has helped ADA to perfect the design of the aircraft, but it will also cut down on the required time to test basic flight characteristics of the aircraft. HAL plans to outsource sub-assemblies of the aircraft fuselage to the Tier 2 third suppliers, which will mean that instead of getting bare fuselage, it will get fully equipped section of aircraft fuselage it's in charge of, to be later assembled with other sections supplied by other Tier 2 suppliers into one whole aircraft, which means that production line can hit 24 aircraft per annum mark from the first year itself instead of gradual increase in production rate as seen in Tejas Mark I program. ADA and HAL plan to field 3 IOC standard and 2 full operational clearance standard aircraft before it is ready for production by 2028-29. Production-wise, all LSP will have all structures and panels which will not be unique to the aircraft and will be interchangeable, so that when aircraft enters production it doesn't face quality or spare issues. Interchangeable of panels and spares is a must for the operational squadrons, so that aircraft availability per squadron remains 75% and above to meet IAF operational availability criteria and to also reduce downtime of the grounded aircraft. China's People's Liberation Army has deployed additional troops near Lipulek Pass, which has been at the center of Nepal-India territorial dispute and is also close to the communist country's boundary with its 2 South Asian neighbors. after Beijing nudged Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's government in Kathmandu to ratchet up Indian-Nepal dispute over the Lipulekh Pass and the adjoining areas. The People's Liberation Army's move to deploy additional troops near the three-nation boundary point is apparently aimed at sending out a message to New Delhi. It came even as the 3-month-long military standoff along the line of actual control, the de facto boundary between India and China, has not yet been completely resolved, with the mutually agreed process of withdrawal of troops from the face-off scenes being stalled due to the reluctance of the People's Liberation Army to vacate the areas its soldiers occupied over the past few weeks on the northern bank of the Pangong Tso Lake, in eastern Ladakh. A source in New Delhi told that the Indian Army too had moved troops in adequate numbers to reinforce its posts closer to the Lipulekh Pass, in response to the build-up by the Chinese People's Liberation Army. The source said that the Indian Army had also taken appropriate measures in view of the Chinese People's Liberation Army's build-up in the middle sector and eastern sector of the disputed boundary between the two nations, adjacent to Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh of India.